All right, so I promised you that you're going to be hearing from us about generative AI and how it works and how Elasticsearch and Elastic plays a really unique role in the whole ecosystem. So to get going on this, I wanted to introduce all of you to Matt Riley, the General Manager of Elasticsearch. Matt, you're going to walk us through some real examples, the kinds of use cases that we've been having some amazing conversations with customers about. So take it away.
Thanks. Yeah. So I want to take you all through one of my favorite examples, essentially a workplace search style example where it's an employee-facing search experience. They're searching over all the internal data at their company, but they need very specific answers back, answers specific to that company that probably were not part of the training data of the large language model that might be providing those answers. So this really should demonstrate the bridge that Elasticsearch can create between your private company data and the large language model. So we'll start with a really simple query. An example that someone who's new to the company who's hearing a lot of acronyms like, what is NASA? So if you give an example like that, you might imagine that trained on entirely public data, the LLM might respond with the Space Administration here in the United States. But as you can see here, it responds with the sales organization or the sales region that NASA stands for North America and the South American region. And that's specific to the company here and is part of the internal data set that is provided and indexed inside of Elasticsearch.
This is really interesting because NASA is the acronym that everybody knows about, the Aeronautical Space Organization. But this is like the NASA North America, South America acronym is uniquely Elastic. It's something that I first heard when I joined Elastic. And, it's something that nobody externally would ever have known about. So this is so amazing that you're actually showing me what's relevant to me, to this organization, as opposed to anybody else. That's awesome.
Exactly, and you can see it in the search results below. These are the results that are indexed in Elasticsearch. So we provided those most relevant results that had the answer to the actual question, provided those at query time to the large language model. It used that grounding to provide an answer that was not just based on the public data, but was actually improved by the data provided from Elasticsearch. So we'll do another example as well. So how about something like, does the company own my side hustle? And this is an interesting example because the term side hustle is probably not present inside your company wiki or your intellectual property policy. But as you can see, using Elasticsearch's adaptive vector search capabilities, we understood the semantic meaning of side hustle and managed to map it to the intellectual property policy, and again, provide that context to the LLM, and it provides the answer according to the internal policy as it was set.
Most lawyers would have no clue on how to reconcile the fact that people think about intellectual property and how to, reconcile that with whatever they might be doing on their side with the word side hustle. So I have to admit, I hadn't thought about it this way. So it's pretty amazing that, this combination of large language models and Elasticsearch is able to create such a compelling experience. It's pretty phenomenal.
And it's really important that we're able to interpret this query in such a way that we understand the meaning of side hustle to get to the most relevant documents and then provide those documents in that context window. So that's what I love about that example.
So this really would not have been possible without both Elasticsearch and the advent of large language models, would it?
That's right. Yeah. So with Elasticsearch in its semantic search capability, that's really what's making this possible.
That's pretty cool.
So we'll do another example that shows off something along the lines of personalization, basically where it understands the user who's searching and what's most relevant to that individual. So if you ask a question like, how do I update my tax elections? So that's going to be relevant to the employee and probably to the country in which that employee resides. So this is a capability that's been standard in Elasticsearch for a long time, the ability to customize search results or personalize them according to the user who is issuing the query. And again, you see the answer here, because the employee who's searching is located in Canada, they're getting tax election forms specific to that country, and they're being interpreted by the LLM and given this nice prescriptive answer according to those specific examples.
So not only did Elasticsearch send the relevant contextual information, the documents that had some of these answers to the large language model, but it also applied this personalization. Now, is that one of the reasons why you call it adaptive vector search?
Exactly. So vector search is the core capability here, but it's a layer of personalization along with other capabilities that have been longstanding parts of Elasticsearch that really make this possible, especially for an application like this.
And this would be, I presume, like absolutely critical if you're building anything that's production worthy, that a business can actually make available to its employees or their customers.
That's absolutely what we're hearing from the customers I speak to.
What else do you have for us?
Okay. The privacy first approach, where maybe somebody's searching for something like how does compensation work? Inside an internal company wiki, depending on who you are in the company, you may or may not have access to that exact information. And so in this case, we actually found that there wasn't information available to that user who's issuing the query. And so the LLM doesn't provide an answer. But if we go up here and we change the persona from an engineer to a manager for the person who's doing the actual query, and we reissue that query, now a new set of search results comes back. If you see them underneath the answer here, a new set of results are there. One of those actually describes the compensation framework appropriate for a manager who's actually issuing the query. And this level of document level permission enforcement is happening at the Elasticsearch level to make sure that only the relevant content that is available to the user who's searching is provided to the LLM at the time of creating the answer.
I see. So this is something that, again, I presume is pretty unique because you're effectively pushing that filter down to Elasticsearch. Every other vector technique would probably pull in all of the documents and then try to do something after the fact, which would effectively violate a lot of privacy policies. And what you're doing here is truly privacy first, which would be critical if you're an enterprise of any true scale or size or maturity.
Yeah, this is really one of the big advantages of having vector search implemented in Elasticsearch because it sits side by side with all of our core capabilities that we've been working on for the last decade, like document level permissions. So when we built this, we didn't just add it onto the side, we built it right into the core. And now all of those capabilities are available whether you're doing a regular search with text or you're using the new vector search capabilities that enable all the semantic matching that makes experiences like this so powerful.
So this is vector search done right.
I think so.
This is pretty amazing. I hope everybody got a sense of how this is making generative AI, privacy-first generative AI, truly meaningful for businesses. I can imagine that this would help with not just the workplace kinds of search use cases, but there would be a lot of examples around e-commerce, around how do you make your customer support systems that much better? How do you enable people to be more efficient in their processes? The sky's the limit.
I think it really is. And every single one of those examples that you just gave are things that we're hearing from our customers and things that we're eager to help people go out and build and make ready for production use cases.
This is fantastic. You heard it from Matt. We are in it with you to make sure that you do privacy-first generative AI right. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.